Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Mark Haas. I'm the CEO of AEG, Association for Enterprise Growth, and we're delighted to be here with Ken Hostetter. Let me tell you a little bit about AEG. We are a community of elite advisors who support mid-market companies in all different kinds of disciplines: finance, law, technology, staffing, etc. We also have other communities of centers of influence and of mid-market CEOs. And our purpose is to accelerate the development of trust between advisors to help them solve complex problems. So we do these LinkedIn Live presentations to highlight some of the trends that are coming in the mid-market advisory market. And this morning, we have Ken Hostetter from PNC Bank. Ken, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yep. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, everybody. My name is Ken Hostetter, and I'm a senior relationship strategist with PNC Private Bank. I'm based in the Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia markets. And the short way to describe what I do is that I serve families in preparing them for their wealth. And the way that I go about doing that is I serve as our family's primary relationship manager or team lead. And honestly, once I get to know our families and their picture and their goals, their objectives, from there, I begin to build out a team that's appropriate for them, a team that's all within PNC Private Bank. And as a team, we help our families get to where they want to be. Oftentimes, when our families find us or we find them, however we are put together, oftentimes their definition of what wealth management has been for them in the past has either been just investment management or investment management with insurance. Nothing wrong with that. But what I love about our model and what our clients tell us that they value us greatly for is that we are beyond that. We're not only investments and insurance, but we're also wealth and estate, tax strategies, banking, and for our much more affluent and wealthier families, legacy is a very big topic of conversation. So we have a philanthropy partner as well as another partner that helps our families with inner family communications, which is oftentimes non-existent.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes that happens when it comes to families and money. So you've been doing this for a while. I was going to ask you what other components of your team, but you mentioned tax, estate planning, philanthropy, etc. How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing this for 34 years.
So you know a few things.
Yeah. I've been around the block. I have only worked with business owners, families of wealth, in all of those 34 years. It's been a great career.
So what kinds of things do you see that over that time period, things change, tax laws change, circumstances change, generations change, the way they view wealth and family change. What are some trends or a couple trends that you see are sort of emerging that people need to pay attention to?
Yeah, that's a great question, and thank you for allowing me to speak on that as well. We've got some biggies out there these days. Number one, in almost every single one of our conversations, we are 48 days away from a presidential election, and we have a lot of questions from our families. We're obviously very proactive, but there's a lot of questions around: Am I safe? Are my investments safe? Have I done the right thing? Have I done the proper amount of estate planning? What's in either party? What's this going to look like for me? Mm-hmm. The good news, there's good news in this, and this is part of our objective with our families, is to keep them calm, keep things at bay. The good news is that no matter, history is on our side, and no matter who has been occupying the Oval Office for a number of decades, the markets have not. They may have been a little bouncy in the beginning, but they have leveled off and they've done very well, no matter who has been sitting in the Oval Office. So that is a big topic of conversation, especially now that we're in the last few days leading up to the election. The second trend that I'm seeing often is many of us, especially in AEG, in our space, we've all heard about the great transfer of wealth, right? The baby boomer generation, whether they're business owners or not, but that wealth is coming into the next generation. And it's complicated, right? It's a lot of wealth. We are seeing it every single day. There's a lot to navigate. It's not only a blessing, but it's also a curse in many ways, because it does take a team of experts to really manage through all the different areas that are important to our families as they come into this wealth. They want clarity, they want transparency, and most importantly, they want a team of professionals that they can trust. They don't want to go from one advisor to only have to go across town to another one just to confirm that what they're doing, maybe even go to a third advisor. They want it all sourced and delivered by one advisor. So that's another trend. The third trend that is very prevalent in our conversations these days is the 2016 tax cut laws are going to go away at the end of next year, 2025. And they all revert back to past levels that are, call it worse than they are today, or they're going to be, more taxing in many ways, not only on an income tax basis, but also at the estate level. So it is one of these moments in time that you've got a little over a year to prepare for that and to make sure that your estate plans and your tax strategies are all up to date, that they marry up to what's available today. It is one of those moments where at 12/31/25, if you haven't done anything, they do go away. It's a use it or lose it type moment in our country's history.
That's great. So you said you're in DC and Northern Virginia. Do you have clients outside the area?
I do. Yes, the predominance of our clients are in this market, but we do have clients throughout the entire United States. PNC is a large institution, and we are a nationwide bank. But myself, yes, we have clients throughout the entire United States.
And are these long-term relationships you have with people?
Yes, yeah. The funny thing about wealth management is it's extremely personal. It's not something that you go out. It's not a transaction. It's not something that you go out and you shop for, find the lowest provider. It is something that's deeply personal. I would say most, if not all of every single one of my relationships, it almost becomes family after a while. Yep.
That's great. Do you notice any difference in the generations? Boomers, millennials, Gen Y, every generation since the beginning of time probably sees the world differently. They see money differently. They live under different tax and social and technological environments. What are some of the differences you see with a boomer versus a millennial, for example?
Yeah, it varies, Mark. There are millennials that sort of have a mindset similar to the boomers. I think oftentimes it has a lot to do with how they've been communicated to over their life about the handling of wealth, how to save appropriately, what to do strategically. And then we certainly have our examples where wealth has made its way into the millennial generation, and it disappears. So it does vary. The boomer generation, I would say, for the most part, is much more conservative. Yep, definitely. And the millennials, we see a lot of different patterns emerging. Some millennials are very socially conscious. They want their investments to look that way. I said earlier, legacy is a very big topic with a lot of our families. The boomer generation right now is very much leaning in toward their legacies and where their wealth goes. So philanthropy, as I mentioned earlier, is a part of what we deliver is another big topic that we have with our families.
Yeah, I did want to follow up on the on the legacy because it means very different things to different people. One is I want to leave a boatload of money to my children. Other is I want to make my mark in the world, socially
Yeah.
or commercially. Others is philanthropy. What kind of philanthropies are kids these days
Yeah.
focused on?
Depends on the family, Mark. We have families that want to support education in lower income areas. We have families that are supportive of you know the prevention of human trafficking.
Mhm,
We've seen that. Um, there's others that are devoted to making sure that certain industries have even more support than they do today. We see a lot of different angles that have been really important to our families over the years.
mhm.
Yep.
Do you have a large proportion of your clients uh, tied to businesses, small or large, as opposed to just family wealth?
I do. Half of my 34-year career, I was actually a commercial banker, or
Okay.
in the commercial banking space between central Pennsylvania down into the Baltimore market. That was
Mhm,
half of my career before I became part of private bank. So when I came into private bank, almost overnight, I was circling right on back to my business owner clientele. The interesting thing about being in the industry for 34 years is we were all much younger folks 30 some years ago. A lot of my business owners now are at the stage where they want to transfer their business, whether it's to
mhm,
family or to exit to a private equity firm, or ESOPs have come into conversations often. So for me, it's a very big part of my practice. It's not the only part of my practice, but it because of my past,
mhm,
I've naturally had a good strong practice within business owners desiring to exit.
mhm. I mean, what makes an ideal client for you? Not just the personality, but kind of where they are in life and what their attitudes are about their wealth.
Yeah, good question. I mentioned earlier that oftentimes when families come to us, they're accustomed to a different way of managing their wealth, right? They've been busy in their careers, busy raising their families, and they haven't had much time other than to say, okay, I'm putting so much of my funds and my savings here, there, and
Mhm,
everywhere. Um, and oftentimes in that type of industry, that kind of mindset over the years, what oftentimes develops is what's my lowest cost provider, right? Who can do this the cheapest and give me the biggest reward that I see on the screen?
mhm,
The best families for us are the ones that are approaching the conversation with an open mind and saying, I need help, right? This is burying me in time in managing my financial affairs. It's not about the price. This is wealth that's going to go not only from me but to my heirs, maybe even further on, and I need help. I'm swimming in too much information.
mhm.
Um, so for me, it's to answer your question, Mark. It's really families that recognize that they really need help, and they're open to a much more broader solution.
Well, that's a comforting answer to somebody who's got some wealth and wants to keep it.
Yeah.
That's terrific. So one of the things you mentioned, putting together a team that can solve these complex problems, whether it's tax or estate planning or wealth management. AEG is the same way. We bring people together. For example, a ransomware attack requires technology, banking, insurance, and law. So tell us a little bit as we wrap up about sort of your experience with AEG and what you find valuable about it.
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to compliment you and Tien for forming this organization. The energy that you guys bring to the meetings and the structure, in honestly, in all my years of going to networking organizations and um, experiencing different different ways that other organizations go about keeping their membership engaged. You guys do a phenomenal job. The monthly meetings, I think, are very well structured. Guest speakers, plenty of networking, card exchange opportunities, getting to meet others. Um, I, I really like AEG for that, the connections and the structure. There are, in my space with wealth management, there certainly are other wealth management professionals that are members, but that really hasn't mattered to me. We've all gotten to know each other. We have all proven that there are certain areas we don't cover 100% of everything. There might be one area that I cover or I don't cover that someone else might. So I just shared this with someone else the other day. It's like any other organization that you ever belong to, you will get out of it what you put into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm there for the monthly meetings, absent PTOs. I'm there for your power groups. I want to get to your salon dinners. I will absolutely get to one of those. So I just feel like the structure, the energy, the power grid, like everything, when you put it all together for AEG, in my profession, this is a grand slam.
Terrific.
Yep.
Thanks very much. I appreciate the vote of confidence. We work really hard to sort of change the way professional services are provided. And you talked about variations in sort of wealth businesses. Our goal is to have sort of a Venn diagram where there's no white space, like anything a person or a business owner needs, you can find. And yeah, there's a little overlap, but it's a good place to go. We've been talking to Ken Hostetter, a private wealth professional extraordinaire from PNC Bank. And thank you. This will be posted on AEG's YouTube channel and on LinkedIn. Thanks very much, Ken.